I've got something a little bit different for you today. I've recently started a course and it's to become a forest bathing guide. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard that term or whether you know anything about it, but it's got nothing to do with bathing, swimsuits or the sea. Forest bathing is something that originated in Japan back in the 80s. It's called Shinrin-yoku in Japanese, and it was set up by the Forestry Agency as a way to encourage people to get out of the city and into nature because of the incredible rates of burnout and stress that people were suffering. And it's something that's taken a little while to catch on, but it's becoming much more widespread now across Europe, the US and in Australia. And it's something that's been on my mind for a little while and decided that actually now is the right time to train, to immerse myself in it. So I guess you're asking what it is and why I'm going to talk about it today on this video for this week. So forest bathing really is about immersing yourself in the woods, amongst trees, in the forests, and using your senses to experience that. So it's not about going for a hike, it's not about covering the miles, but it's literally about being amongst the trees. And there's an awful lot of research that's now being done on not only the physical benefits, but the mental health benefits for being in nature, and particularly amongst the trees. I won't go into all of the details now, but I'll put a couple of links in the notes below the video so you can take a look if you're interested. And the reason that I want to talk about it on this week's video is that I'd like to invite you to take a little bit of time in nature. Now, you don't have to go and find a forest. You could be in your garden, you could be in your local park, or you could be in woodlands that you might have nearby, or if failing any of that and you live by the sea, then you could go and spend some time on the beach. And what I'd love you to do is to see how much you can slow down, that you can begin to use your senses. We all tend to lead with one sense. And for me, that's, I would say, my sense of sight, that I will see things. And what I've even noticed with that is how I often, when I'm out, if I'm out walking, for example, I'm kind of focusing on middle distance or certainly in the direction I'm traveling rather than the kind of the detail that's right close by. And I was talking to somebody this morning, actually, who's got small children, and how wonderful they are at bringing us into the present moment and focusing on the little things. And she was talking about a walk she'd had with her daughter in the summer and how it took them such a long time because her daughter was just focusing on the ladybirds that she could see and crouching down and looking at the tiny details, the bugs, the ants, that sort of thing, which we as grown-ups tend not to do. We're looking at, how far are we walking? Are we getting our 10,000 steps in? We're not stopping to literally notice what's right in front of us. And there's I read something in a book recently about a Zen monk was asked, why does he meditate every day? And his response was, so that when I walk into the village each day, I notice the purple flowers. And that's exactly it. It's what we notice when we slow down. And what about your sense of hearing? What if you could walk or sit in your garden and focus on the sounds that you can hear? Those that are right close in, even hearing your own breathing, to maybe the birds you can hear in the garden, or it may be traffic you can hear out on the road, or what can you hear a long way off? And what if you just sat and focused on what you can hear? And then, and this is one of the ones I love, is when I'm in the woods, is actually my sense of touch, to actually touch the bark of the tree, feel all the different textures that are on the tree at different heights of the tree. What about the moss that's often around on the floor or around the base of the trunk of the tree? Or what about the leaves, the piles of leaves that are there? Certainly now in winter in the UK, there's just piles and piles of leaves, and what do they feel like? The dampness of them. And think about all the different types of trees and just close your eyes and feel the texture, what you can feel. And what about another way of feeling is, if you feel, and it's safe to do so, just stand and close your eyes and feel the breeze on your face. And what if you were to move 90 degrees and feel maybe at this point that the sun might be on your face? And just keep doing that and spend some time, 10 to 15 minutes if you can, just focusing on what you can hear, what you can see close by, what you can feel. And then what about what we can taste and what we can smell? So it's really interesting that these are often put together, because when we open our mouths and breathe in through our mouth, we can actually taste the forest, taste the atmosphere, taste the woods. Or if you're by the beach, can you taste the salt air? And again, spend some time really focusing on this. And with our sense of smell, this is one I just love, particularly by the beach. But when you're in the forest, if it's just rained, for example, or it's early morning, what are the smells? Get close and smell the moss, or smell the flowers if they're out. There are beginnings of wild garlic where I am, and I can smell that in the air, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I'd love you to see how differently you feel before you go in and spending some time in the woods or by the beach or in the park or in your garden, wherever you can be. Notice how differently you feel beforehand and afterwards. And there's so much research being done into this, and particularly in Japan, where they take measurements of people's blood pressure before they go into a forest bathing session. And these sessions can last up to 2 hours, 2.5 hours sometimes, all done so super slowly. And then checking how their blood pressure is when they come out. And they're finding that this is of huge value and huge benefit to people. So I'd love you to do that if you can. Sometime this week, find some time. And it doesn't have to be 2.5 hours. Obviously, it can be whatever time you've got, even if it's sitting in your garden for 15 minutes or so. Notice what you notice. And I'd love you to report back. Leave a message in the comments and let us know how you got on. Take care, and I'll speak to you again next time. Bye for now.